This episode of Important If True is brought to you by Quip, electric toothbrushes sent to your home with brush head refills. And if you go to tryquip.com/thumbs, you can get $10 off your first brush head refill. That is tryquip.com with the offer code thumbs.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
It's tomorrow, right?
The 6th. It's July 6th.
Sorry, I said it's tomorrow, which is totally unhelpful. It's tomorrow, today. The podcast of the future. It's July 6th, 2017.
And this is Important If True.
God. From Idle Thumbs, I'm Chris Remo.
I'm Nick Brecken. Yeah.
I'm Jake Rodkin. Hey.
Hello.
Hey, guys.
Welcome to this podcast.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome to you as well.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. I don't know if this story will have any meaning to you guys, but I was carrying a bundle, like a big pile of board games, to Goodwill because I just had like a ton of board games in my apartment that, Nick, I think I maybe like accidentally stole from one of our old roommates.
Sure.
When we moved out.
Me.
I mean, I thought initially they were yours, but they seem to not have been.
Probably not.
Unless it is.
Unless they
you
are.
recognize the game in this story, and
Okay.
and I'm a thief.
Sure.
I mean, I'm a thief either way,
Let's-
but not of you.
That's fine.
And so I had like a big stack of board games that I was taking to Goodwill, and it was that one of those just like awkward situations where I'm tottering around with a pile that like goes above my head, and I'm walking. It's only a few blocks down the street, but I had to stop to tie my shoelaces, and so I did that,
Nerd.
and I had to straighten my glasses.
Slipped on a banana peel.
Yeah, your clarinet
Yeah.
fell out of your backpack.
Yeah, right.
It's just real bad.
Yep. And so I stopped for a moment and was doing that. And on the top was a game called Cleopatra and the Society of Architects.
Not mine.
Okay, good. All right. I've inadvertently thieved from someone else, but not you.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if it'd be a weird thieving motivation because I literally gave them away for free to a charity store.
You're just Robin Hood.
So I'm Robin. I'm
Yeah.
true. I'm Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just a dick.
Or I'm an asshole. Yeah, that's fine also. So there was this game called Cleopatra on the top, and I'm stopping to tie my shoes, and I get that sort of feeling that someone is like near me. So I sort of look up, and there's this guy,
A bully.
who's just nerd. There's a guy who's just standing there, like looking at me, and he has a dog. It's like an Eddie from Frasier.
Okay.
Like that dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
and
a terrier. Like
I
a little
guess.
terrier.
Yeah. It's one with like spots,
Mm-hmm.
I guess. And he's standing there and he's sort of watching me, and I'm like, hello. And he goes, "What is that? Is that some kind of game? Because I am obsessed with the film Cleopatra." and I'm like, "Oh, that's yeah. I mean, it is. I don't think it has anything to do with the movie, but it's a game." And he's like, "Well, I'm just obsessed with it." And he starts telling me about how there's like hours of footage they had to cut out of Cleopatra,
Mhm.
and like what an incredible tragedy that is, and like it's this costumes and sets are so beautiful, and he's like transported into another world as he's like trying to communicate to me the scale of the grandeur of the film Cleopatra and like how much of it was lost and like what a catastrophe this is for humanity. And then he's just like, it's kind of one of those, I'm sort of just sitting there being like, okay, cool. Like, thanks for the information. See ya. But he's like so into all this, and he starts talking about other restored films, and he starts talking about the restored version of Vertigo, which I don't even remember like the chain of how it got from there. But
So we're hosting this guy's podcast now, right?
yeah. So at a certain point, he's like talking about Vertigo, and he's like, the night that restoration of Vertigo premiered at the Castor Theater with Kim Novak on stage, I was with a friend in a bookstore. And then he sort of like pauses and looks at me like meaningfully and like arches his eyebrow and goes, an adult bookstore.
What?
I didn't really know.
And I wasn't talking about Cleopatra. I was talking about Caligula.
And so he's like, anyway, so, an adult bookstore. So he's telling me, my friend and I walked out of this bookstore and a limousine was stopped at the light. And do you know who was inside? Kim Novak, star of Vertigo. I screamed at her, "I love your movies." And she rolled her eyes at me and drove away. And the only reason this struck me so much is because I realized for many reasons, but as he was telling the story, I'm like, man, I was at the Castro Theater the night that I was there that night for the premiere of the restored version of Vertigo, which Kim Novak, she was there and she spoke at it. So I realized I was part of this weird cosmic connection where I watched Kim Novak in person. She left, drove away in her limo. A guy screamed at her, "I love your movies" from outside an adult bookstore. Yeah. She rolled her eyes, rolled up the windows, and drove away. And then years later, that man came up to me on the street, accosted me, and told me the story of that evening. And that's it. There's no punchline. I was just struck by what an amazing, weird, circuitous.
Just another tale, from the city of San Francisco.
Right.
If this city could talk, Chris, the things it would tell you
Would be these ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A guy was selling a board game.
Bookstore. That's all I got.
I don't think anyone can top or address that from any angle. In a way that is very good, actually.
No, so that was that.
So did the guy take the board game or anything?
No, I mean, I sort of made a nominal effort to try and sort of explain what this kind of board game is, but he definitely wasn't interested in hearing any information that wasn't about the beautiful costumes and sets of Cleopatra.
Once you were it's a German-style game. It uses the rondelle. I don't think that Cleopatra uses
No, I've actually never played it. I hadn't played any of the games that I was carrying around. They were all games I accidentally inherited, I guess with just
And each of them had a story. Had you faced up the next one, another guy would have come by and told you about some other weird San Francisco happenstance.
The 7 wonders of the world.
Android Netrunner.
Yeah. Jumanji.
Jumanji. Have you guys seen the trailer for the new Jumanji?
I have.
Man.
It looks like they might have accidentally made a trailer for Jurassic Kanji. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how much there is to talk about that thing, but it was amazing to see that Jumanji was reimagined as a Sega Genesis game. It was basically reimagined as the things that childhood Nick Brecken would want them to be. The Jumanji game looks like it's the Sega Genesis Jurassic Park game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where they found an old 16-bit system.
Yeah.
And then that sucks you into Jurassic Park. It looks like it sucks you into just a world full of dinosaurs.
Yeah.
It's out of control.
Yeah.
I feel like you've got prior art on this. I feel like you could go after these guys.
I mean, that's probably true.
You won that award. You were recognized.
Right. Yeah, no, it's definitely in the record.
What was that, a month ago on this podcast or something that
Probably.
we read Jurassic Kang?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way before that trailer came out. So whatever.
Yeah. What if that in fact is what happened to me? What if I was sucked into the universe of Cleopatra, architects of whatever, and that guy was just my Robin Williams character? It was just the really dumb,
you never played that game,
version.
so for all you know, it's actually about a guy who likes the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's you play a card that's sorry, Kim Novak rolls her eyes at you outside of an adult bookstore. Move back 3 spaces.
If I'd continued to
Move
walk
back 3 years,
instead I just dropped it off at the Goodwill for some unsuspecting soul.
Right? Yeah.
To happen upon it in the future.
That'll be reimagined as the stupidest Sega Genesis game in 20 years.
Yeah. You just have to sit there pressing A, scrolling through the
the story,
little
just
box of the guy's dialogue with his
Yep.
face next to it.
That reminds me of this and this. Oh, okay, you tire of this man, but he continues to talk.
An adult bookstore, and then his picture flips to just the version of him with a
He's just
lascivious
emojis. Let's be honest.
eyebrow.
It goes from sort of happy to the smirk emoji.
Yeah.
And then the sunglasses emoji.
What, because he's dealing with it? Because I'm dealing with it?
Because he's just being a smug lord.
He wasn't really. I mean, I guess he was created out of thin air for the purpose of telling me this story.
Yeah.
As I
He served his
He had
purpose
no
and sort of
agency.
disappeared back into the mist
Yeah,
until
that's true.
the game is resold.
yeah.
You don't play this game, by the way. The way that this Jumanji activates is when you take it to a secondhand shop without
Yeah.
ever opening it.
Yeah, when you
Right.
just sort of carry it around the world,
Yeah.
around the, you know.
Like, oh, you're trying to get rid of this? Well, let me regale you with garbage.
If we encountered, totally unrelatedly, we encountered a news story about a weird monkey location that was reported on
On a
Over the
local
weekend.
on a local news station.
Local news.
A local news
Arizona.
affiliate found a monkey location.
Yes. So on the outskirts of Mesa, Arizona, there's land blocked off by signs saying no trespassing and danger. Flanked on one side by an ammunitions testing facility, there's a mysterious primate farm that is thriving. Drone video taken as recently as this past weekend shows cages full of primates in the desert. One man requesting to remain anonymous said he decided to check out the area after his son told him about the primates in the desert. Quote, he found it on the web and we were intrigued. All of a sudden, this guy comes at us in one of the razor carts. He was yelling at us to get out of here, he said. Drone video he shot shows large metal cages full of primates. A man who asked not to be identified said he worked there as a private contractor. He explained the facility is now managed by the University of Washington. They do primate research, he explained. They take good care of the primates. The living facility for the monkeys is air-conditioned. You have to wear masks and be covered from top to bottom like a hazmat suit. But I was told that's to protect the monkeys more than it is to protect you. ABC 15 reached out to several agencies to try and get answers. The city of Mesa, Maricopa County, and the Arizona State Department of Agriculture had not heard of this. So there's just a weird monkey farm next to an ammunition testing facility
Yeah.
out in
Yeah.
the deserts of Arizona.
I was trying to figure out what this could possibly be. I don't think that I have a definitive answer, but I have a couple of possible answers, most of which are stupid.
Okay.
I thought that maybe it was just a center for like training emotional helper monkeys. You know, I thought maybe it was.
God, that seems like a risky support animal.
I'm sure that there's helper monkeys around. There was
Yeah.
one on The Simpsons once, so I assume that it's real.
Fair enough.
I thought that maybe it was training human workforce replacement, and they started with replacing monkey care technicians.
Oh, man.
So that these monkeys, which was a mistake, because now the monkeys are never going to learn any other jobs. Now they can care for themselves. The obvious other one was maybe that given that it's next to a munitions factory, that there's like armed primate like force training.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean,
so
going
it's just
on there.
Planet of the Apes.
It sounds like the new Planet of the Apes
Right.
movies,
But
right?
then I thought that maybe if this is a university project, and as we know, universities are aggressively left-leaning and hate freedom, it could be that it's in fact training gun safety monkeys. Like this could be a force of monkeys who are trained that whenever they see a gun, they just strip it to parts in seconds. And it's scary as fuck because you wouldn't want to fuck
man.
with a primate that's just
Yeah.
coming at you.
Yeah.
So maybe it's both, though. Maybe it actually is that they've armed these monkeys because the only way that you're going to storm people's homes that are armed to dismantle their guns as this grand liberal university conspiracy is first train the monkeys to strip down the guns, then give them guns.
And then point the guns at people to
Yeah,
to
then
then
just
hand
hold
over
them
the
hostage
guns?
while
It's just
they
like
hand
the-
over their
then
guns.
the
yeah.
drone footage is just going across neighborhoods as just like a wave of primates tear over houses like a nightmare scene from one of the new Planet
Right.
of the Apes movies. What they're actually doing is stripping guns down to single component parts and then throwing them into different bins for recycling.
mixing them up,
Yeah.
and then putting them back in homes.
Oh no! Well, I mean, maybe
okay.
they could be prank. They could be just sort of also a merry prankster. But I thought that they would be separating them out for good sort of recycling and composting, like you do.
Composting. Do you think there are components of guns that are compostable?
I'm sure that the most dangerous guns of all are compostable, Chris. They leave no trace.
True.
It just seemed terrifying to me to see a monkey come at you. And then have it wrench your gun out of your hands, and then while they're
Yeah.
staring at you with its black monkey eyes, it just completely takes it down to the bolts. Also, I feel like it's tragic because these monkeys are destroying the thing that they love, which is guns. And being armed.
I guess if you are like the deep state and you want to steal a bunch of people's guns, it is a lot better to send monkeys than people to take all the guns away. Because, as we know from movies, humans don't really care when other humans are shot and killed with guns, but they really care when animals
Yeah, like especially if
shot
it's like a
with
lovable animal. Like if
guns.
they're wearing Like,
Yeah, if they have like
if they
a
have-
fun little
they
like
just need to-
firefighter costume
yeah, like
or
they just
something.
need any sort of single piece
Well-
of costume that lets you place a lovable personality on them. Where you're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you're the one who loves
So it's
whatever.
it's gonna be like 300 monkeys dressed as like clowns with like red
With
noses
guns,
and
but they
just
are
like
carrying
like
guns,
just
though?
doing like goofy faces, and then
That
they
would-
just pull out their Glock and stick it in your face. Like,
Yeah.
holy shit,
and then
that's
they do like that
terrifying.
little sort of creepy, I don't actually
Yeah.
laugh, but I'm trained to look like I'm laughing
like-
monkey gesture. Yeah, they just show their teeth and then just like flex an arm muscle that you don't think that a human has, but a monkey definitely has, and
Jesus.
you're fucked. But yeah, then it's like
This has gone from being like sort of plausible and kind of adorable to being really fucked up and terrifying and just like an actual Stephen King premise or like a weird episode of the X-Files. You know, like sometimes there would just be like a weird episode
Yeah.
about like
Like
monkeys
zoo animals
coming
and
at
stuff,
you with
yeah.
guns.
It was
to
the
take
most
away your-
logical conclusion that I could draw from a mysterious chimp or primate training facility, it's got to be a training facility, next to
Yeah.
some sort of gun manufacturer. I
Yeah.
assume that they're arming chimps so that the university's liberal agenda can be to disarm America,
Yeah.
can be just take their guns
Yeah.
away.
Well, sadly, the way they're doing that is by dressing them up as clowns and sending regiments of armed monkeys to people's homes.
When guns are made illegal, the only people who will have guns are monkeys dressed as clowns.
That's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Think about it. Jesus Christ.
I mean, it's probably more likely that they would be like sleeper agents, right? Like that they would distribute these monkeys throughout the country as
they'd be
party
adorable,
as
and
party
they'd-
monkeys.
So they are-
rent a
yeah.
monkey,
They are
and
like-
then like he's secretly like, I need to go to the bathroom. I mean, he can't talk, but he's like, it's like,
And
oh,
they're like,
okay.
oh,
Then
he's-
while
well,
he's in
funny,
there, he's
right.
like searching through all your shit. Oh, here's the gun, disable gun, throw gun into
bathroom? The
trash.
The monkey I just need to use the bathroom. Which way is the bathroom? And you're like, oh, it's the second door on the left. And then the monkey fucking goes right for sure into
Yeah.
the room with all
Yeah,
the
yeah.
guns.
Right.
Yeah.
The monkey also has the Congo device that he can use to talk. Apparently,
What?
you know, in Congo, with
It can say it can aim a good gorilla.
Amy, bathroom, wear a gun, you know. Anyway.
Yeah, so you're saying that all of my theories are perhaps correct, that they are going to enter the workforce to work alongside humans to eventually take
Yeah.
their jobs, but actually they're there for the guns, and they're also going to be emotional support creatures, but they're really there to take your guns, and they're also armed, but that's just so they can take your guns.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
What
true.
could go wrong?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like a bunch of monkeys that take your guns away. I mean, I guess that's basically what people fear the most. So
I mean, if you don't ever teach them how to fire the guns, then
they'd
maybe
fucking figure it out, dude. That's. There's a new Planet of the Apes movie coming out in like 2 weeks, and I'm sure that this is the story of it now.
Yeah, that's true. No, you're right. Well, actually, so I
They
mean,
taught the monkeys to take the guns away, but what we didn't think was that the monkeys would learn how to use them against
That
us.
they would stockpile them in a remote facility in Arizona.
It began years ago. This is actually
yeah.
yeah, that's actually that facility is actually just stocked. The ammunitions facility is just stocked with the ammunition the monkeys have already.
There's just a few
confiscated.
gorillas in there and like some chimpanzees just on top of just like a Lord of the Rings dragon's bounty of guns and grenades and shit.
Do they go
like
and
some
lock
tanks.
themselves back in the cages once they've come back?
That would be sort of poignant that like that's just what they know for
Yeah.
like what makes them comfortable to sleep.
Yeah, that would give them that like tragic, that sort of pathos.
Yeah, they're like, oh, we did this.
yeah.
And that we literally trained
We're-
them to steal the guns.
They're teaching us that we're the monkeys in cages armed with guns.
You were going to relate this to something else to change the subject?
Well,
Yeah, how is that going to work?
I don't know. I don't know why. It occurred to me that monkeys already have opposable thumbs, right? Which is that's one of the things that is similar to us about them. So I realized that the thing I was going to connect it to is completely unnecessary. But I saw a thing this morning about a like prosthetic extra thumb that someone made.
Does it like go on the other side?
Yeah, it goes on the other side,
Oh, man.
opposite your thumb.
Oh.
Ah!
Yeah, it's like
Oh my God.
yeah, it's
Jesus.
it's a little robot thumb that you strap onto your hand, and it just points out of the other side of your hand, like the one next to your pinky. You know,
Mhm.
Is that
And-
good?
I mean, apparently it lets you do more things. Like it gives you an extra.
I mean, I guess you
thumb.
could make a fist upside down the other way. Like you could just
Yeah, when you can probably grab things better.
you could hold a spoon like a little kid does, but it would look correct and it would really break someone's brain. Like you could sort of grab a pencil upside, but like I don't know. I feel like you could
Just
just
like in your fist.
yeah, but you could do things backwards and it would be bad.
I mean, you
Yeah.
can hold 2 guns in the same hand.
You could what? You couldn't.
Kind
Could
of.
you?
Couldn't you?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Maybe
You could design a cool gun that is like the kind of gun that
Yeah.
you drew as an elementary school
Yeah.
student in your margins, where the barrels come out of both
Yes.
sides, and then each one has a hammer, and you can.
That's just a
cock each
comedy
hammer
gun that someone
with your
shoots at you, but
thumbs.
then you catch the bullet and send it back to them through the stupid U-shaped gun.
That's true.
That's like a Spaceballs gag.
Yeah, you have to be a highly trained monkey with an extra prosthetic opposable thumb to be able to use that, though. The additional gross thing about this thumb is that the way it's triggered is with sensors hooked up to your feet. So you're like, I guess you sort of like clench your toes,
And
I
then, it
suppose,
grips
to,
your
like-
thumb.
and then
So
it grips your
They don't
other
have any
extra
use cases.
thumb.
They haven't shown like why this is useful. That's very bold. Like we consider it to be obvious why having a second thumb on the other side of your hand is useful. Sell me it. I believe that I've sold you on the concept alone of this gross thumb that your brain rejects.
Yeah, all the
I mean-
pictures are just of people with their third thumb sort of like regarding it with sort of pleasure and
Weird.
amazement. There is actually a really good.
I mean,
there's a good picture of a guy with the extra thumb, like playing guitar, and he's the most classic, like metal guitar lord.
I can't even see his other thumb. It's moving so fast. He's just shredding so hard on that guitar.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He's just a classic looking guitar lord with like many sort of. He's got like necklaces and a cool.
He doesn't even
jacket
have a
and-
double-necked guitar to go with his extra 2 thumbs. Like, what a
Where
fucking
would you-
waste.
yeah, I mean, I don't think you could reach over.
That doesn't matter. If you're gonna get another fucking thumb for aesthetics, you better just have a 2-in-1 guitar.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Ugh.
So I was going to say that yeah, I mean, it's pointless for these to be put on the monkeys, but I guess they could have them. If we're already teaching them how to use guns, we might as well have as many implements as possible to like quickly disassemble the guns.
That's true. Although I feel like you're taking power away from the monkeys because they can already use their feet for terrifying things that a person can't use. At least a lot of primates can, I think.
Oh, that's true.
So you could watch a monkey just taking apart like 3 guns at once with 2 hands and 2 feet.
Yeah.
But I guess if they also had 2 additional thumbs, that maybe they could have 4 additional thumbs. Maybe you could actually just give monkeys opposable thumbs on their feet, and then you're just really.
Which they control with their hands.
I mean, I feel like that's probably the case.
You'd need to, at that point, change it to be controlled with your tongue or something.
They'd have to just control it with their brain.
Yeah. I don't think we can do that yet.
Oh.
Maybe we can.
Maybe those monkeys figured it out.
I bet we can. I bet you can control things with your brain because we have those like stupid Star Wars lightsaber, the Star Wars like Force toys that you control with your brain, right? Isn't there like a Star Wars toy where you can like make something float by controlling it with your brain?
I'm sure that
Probably.
you can. Look, okay, we have an ammunitions facility next to a mysterious monkey training facility. Surely underground next to it is like a mind-controlled thumb attachment Kickstarter facility.
Yeah, true. They're training the monkeys how to pledge on to Kickstarter to finance. It's
Yeah,
a weird
at
pyramid
one point
scheme.
was a Bitcoin farm. Now it's a Kickstarter backer thing to fund this thumb thing. A Kickstarter thumb drive.
Oh, fuck off. Let's take a break. This episode of Important If True is brought to you by Quip. Electric toothbrushes sent to you in the mail with, every 3 months, brush head refills. So you don't end up with that like too long since replacement brush head bristle zone. You get a new brush head every 3 months, and if you go to tryquip.com/thumbs, you can get $10 off your first refill. Your first brush head refill. That'll just knock out the cost of that first one for sure. And you can get it set up with like the toothpaste in there as well, so you can just have all of the stuff you need to brush your teeth. I really like this toothbrush. It's got a pulsing 4x. What am I talking about? It's got like a 2-minute timer broken up into 30-second increments, so you can move from quadrant to quadrant in your mouth, without having to like think about it.
The pulsing 4X as it's known.
Pulsing 4X. Yep. And if you go to tryquip.com/thumbs, you'll get that $10 off your first refill.
Nice.
Yeah. Get that pulsing 4X with Quip. Tryquip.com/thumbs. This episode of Important If True is also brought to you by Warby Parker. Warby Parker makes stylish and very affordable frames for eyeglasses and sunglasses, both prescription and non-prescription. And if you go to warbyparkertrial.com/thumbs, you can get 5 frames sent to your house for free. You can decide which ones you like and then order those glasses. They start at only $95, very affordable for such nice frames. You can see better. I mean, I guess you can see as well as you do with your current prescription.
Yeah.
But you'll look better.
That's true.
Yeah.
You'll like what you see in the mirror better.
God.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
See better, look better.
Go to warbyparkertrial.com/thumbs.
Try 5 different styles. Pick the one that covers the most of your face. And buy those.
Yep. warbyparkertrial.com/thumbs. All right, are we back? I think we're back.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
John writes, given the quality of your scholarship on bee pizzas and associated bullshit, I wanted to invite you to apply your skills to a more refined tier of intellectual masturbation. In this case, by getting your take on a problem. Yeah, you thought something refined was going to be stated.
No, that's the subtitle of this podcast, Chris.
In this case, by getting your take on a problem in rational decision theory that's been floating around philosophy and mathematics journals since the early 70s.
Oh, God.
The setup. You're a contestant on a game show. In front of you are 2 boxes. One is open, the other closed. Inside the open box is $1,000 cash. You can plainly see it. The closed box is either empty or contains $1 million. You are offered the choice to take home either the closed box or both boxes. Either the closed box. Okay, so you can take home either the box that may or may not have $1 million
Or both.
or both boxes, one of which definitely has $1,000.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know. It seems obvious that you would choose both, because then you at least have $1,000. Well, let's see what there's a twist here. However, for the past week, you know that you've been constantly observed by an advanced AI whose only function is to predict what your upcoming choice on the show will be. On all 50 previous episodes of this game show, the robot's prediction was correct. The robot made its final prediction before you walked on stage. If the robot predicted you would take only the closed box, that box contains $1 million. If it predicted you would take both boxes, the closed box is empty. Okay.
So
The
it's
closed box, either empty or full, now sits in front of you beside the open $1,000 box. Do you take home the closed box or both boxes? What does it mean when it says if the robot predicted you would take only the closed? Don't we have to know?
No, so the closed box, if you... This is a weird question.
First off, let's just say that given that this has been a thing that apparently people have been pondering since the 70s, whose job it is to ponder this, this is about to be us being
Solving it definitively.
Definitely.
Because I think I've solved it definitively.
Okay, there's no way that this is us being maximally hoisted. There's no way.
No.
So Nick,
I'm so confused because I feel like it's obvious.
okay, so
And I
Wait,
know
hold on.
I know I'm going to be fucking owned.
I definitely figured this out. I'm so confused.
so the
Nick
gist of this is
Well,
that there's an AI that knows
Yeah.
enough about you that it has taken its own best guess as to whether or not as to which choice you will make.
But it's not trying to subvert your guess. It's trying to honestly choose what you will choose. Right? The goal of the AI is not to go, oh, well, I think you're going to choose this thing and sort of like manipulate you or
Can you
like,
reread the sentence about the AI one more time?
So for the past week, you know that you've been constantly observed. By the way, this is creepy as hell.
Yeah.
Like, why is there an
You've been
AI
constantly
just...
observed
signed
by
up
an
for-
armed monkey with 4 thumbs?
Yeah, like, I don't like the fact that this thing's just following you around all week. Anyway, you've been followed around all week by an advanced AI.
Hopefully you notice it out of the corner of your eyes occasionally over the week. You're like, how do you know you've been observed by... I've just been
It
getting
may do
weird-
things like ask you about your taste in board
Yeah.
games.
Its only function is to predict what your upcoming choice on this game show will be. Of all 50 previous episodes, the robot's prediction was correct.
Uh-huh.
So it's trying to guess what you will guess. Then
But this is like a secret prediction,
it,
right?
it decides
Okay.
in its AI brain what you're going to choose. Okay, at that point, if it predicted you would take only the closed box as opposed to both boxes, if it predicted you would only take the closed box, it will contain $1 million
So basically,
for sure.
This robot's
So it
job
is subverting you.
No.
No,
This
though.
robot's job is to help you out. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
I think I think that Chris is only going to take that one box, and because I think that, I'm putting $1 million in that box. And if the robot's like, I think he's going to take both boxes, well, he'll make do with the $1,000. I believe is how this works.
So he's kind of subverting you.
If
You just
it
gendered
predicted
this
you would
AI.
take both,
It's
the
kind
closed
of
box is empty.
subverting you.
I
This
mean-
monkey, this armed monkey is kind of subverting you.
Kind of. I don't think so, though. I feel like, so the question is, right?
If it was really helping me out, there would always be $1 million.
Well, that's not how the rules work.
That's not how the rules work.
The rules work. If you and the robot are on the same page, you're at least going to get $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
If the robot thinks you're going to take both, but you take the one, you get nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. I think. But so okay,
because the box is empty.
But if you know all of this up front, right? And I think that's a big if. I don't know if you're supposed to know how this AI functions. I don't know if that part is actually supposed to be
is the contestant aware of the experiment?
I don't know. But if they are, wouldn't you just always choose the closed
box?
box?
Boy, could I use $1 million? If I see two things, I'm always going to take one of them. Like, you just walk around saying things like that out loud.
Right, yeah.
And hoping
the robot's coughing like, they take the empty one. Take it. Take both. Like,
Except
what was that?
since
it's my advanced AI.
Since it's a armed primate, the sounds it makes are just creepy, like monkey chirps that freak you out
and
throw you off your game. They throw you off your box choosing game,
right?
Unnerving you such that on the day you're racked
a pistol in the background.
So if that monkey's additional thumb bends in, it knows that you're thinking about just taking the closed box.
I feel like I'm an idiot, but I still don't understand. There's something about this that I just don't fundamentally understand.
The thing that I don't understand is what is the problem? You choose the closed box. It's always correct. The AI is always right.
Yeah.
It knows exactly what you're going to do. So if you in your mind decide I'm taking that closed box
one that gives me $1 million.
It will give you $1 million because the AI is going to predict that you chose the closed box. Or are going to, you do it, and then you get $1 million.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you do it?
You're like your confidence in the AI based on past results
is that the question?
I don't know. I can't figure it out, but it reminds me of being in a car. Like, have I told this on this podcast before? I was I was with Sarah and her parents, and we were driving to the Redwood National Forest up north, and there was a sign that was like, this way to the Redwood National Forest, like it's this way. And there was another sign that was like, it's not over here. It was like a handwritten sign someone made. It's like, don't go over here. And her dad was like, oh, well, Google's telling me to go this other way. So that's the way that it is on the computer. So that's the way we're going to go. And there's like signs everywhere and it's like, not here. We go up there. It's eventually like a dead end. It's like a weird street that goes up into the mountains. And there's like someone put a sign in their driveway being like, stop going this way. This is not where it is. Please turn around.
Mm-hmm.
And so we like do a 20-point turn in and out of this person's driveway to turn around and get back to the thing. Go back to this huge wooden sign that's like, this way to the Redwoods, please go in this direction where the arrow's pointing, and we eventually go and it's correct. But it's like the insistence that the computer knows,
it must know.
and the AI is correct, and like it's like Google Maps, it's right about, it knows somehow that this is absolutely true, but it was totally wrong. And you're now.
I feel like what this email actually is a test to see how well we will try to make sense of a situation that was perhaps inadequately explained.
So
a reader sent this in, and we take all of those things at face value and then keep talking about them until we're 3 floors down into the earth in a hole we dug for ourselves. So I'll just take the $1 million.
I mean, I guess taking the closed box is fine, because what's the worst case? You miss out on $1,000.
Right.
Which is like, that sucks. It would be nice to have $1,000. But if there's any way to increase your chances of getting $1 million, then you should do that one, right?
Because if you choose the empty one, you're not, or both of them, you're not going to get that $1 million, because it's just based on the rules. I mean, I guess, okay, so if the AI predicted that you would take the closed box and then you choose both of them, I guess you still get the $1 million? Is that the case? I don't actually...
Wait, if you predict... Sorry, so say that again?
Oh, never mind. I think we've gone too deep.
If
the AI predicts incorrectly that you're going to choose the closed box, but you choose both, I think the closed box is empty at that point.
If the robot predicted you would take only the closed box, The box contains $1 million. So if the robot predicts that, but then you take both, that's the one situation in which you can end up with $1,001,000.
Yeah.
So the best case scenario is for the AI to be wrong.
But in a specific way,
Yeah.
I feel like there's something that we are absolutely missing in this
I
question.
feel like there is too. I'm a little.
Why were they wondering about this in the 70s? Was it because they were like figuring out AI questions, or because the 70s was just like a high point in culture for wacky game shows about money in boxes and stuff? And they're just like, what's the craziest game show we can think of? Like, what if we invent amazing AIs that follow you around so that my goofy idea for like a new Merv Griffin game show can exist? I mean, now we have the technology to do this, right? Now, like, we have AI that's constantly watching us, and it's so brilliant, it can predict that I need to buy Q-tips after I've already ordered Q-tips from Amazon.
Right.
And then shows me Q-tips for a month on the internet.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, I can't find any evidence of this question on the internet either.
Oh, really?
So I wonder if we're just being completely
mathematicians
hoisted.
Since the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this might actually just be trying to get this on the air to pitch a new game show.
Well, they did a bad job because
like,
now
I feel like a robot is pitching us a new game
right,
show.
The world, I mean, the world
like it's trying to
the
find
world
a job.
of reality TV style game shows, this would totally just be part of the game show where you agree to like live in a stupid house for a week, and the house is just full of wacky like Google Street View cameras and every possible sensor of your life. And then at the end of it, you go ba-da-ba, you're put on like a retro style actual game show set for the final chapter where you have to pick one of the two boxes.
I mean, maybe the answer to this is that the $1 million is completely superfluous because they've already made $100 million on a robot following you around all week show. Where you're just your whole life is just where the guy who's just like freaked out by an advanced AI following him around, like it's just Big Brother, and they've made tons of money, and then they just give you $1 million.
Value.
Like, oh, this is fine.
I see. Yeah.
Here, take your $1 million.
Yeah.
So the actual end result is it doesn't matter because you are either
you've been destroyed.
You're just you have become someone else's brand, and you're making them a ton of money as a guest on the reality TV show, or you're somehow a weird robot slave, and you're just being like led around by $1 million on a stick in a box.
Yep. That's probably
or we were just totally played. But you know what?
One of the two.
We read this on our podcast, so this concept property, Idle Thumbs LLC.
True.
Sorry, 1970s journals. You don't exist on the internet.
You certainly don't exist on podcasts. Jeffrey Vandenbosch writes, ever since I was a child, I have heard if you leave a bee or other stinging insect alone, it will in turn leave you alone. However, no matter how often my family and I try to hold up our part of the bargain, the other side seems to ignore the rules. I try to live in harmony with my stinging neighbors, but they seem to want to provoke me into an altercation. They land near my kids, buzz through where we're sitting, and make nests in our kids' play areas. This seems to me a direct violation of the established code of conduct. How long do we allow this to go on? When would you fight back? Is a preemptive strike justified in this scenario? Thank you. Jeffrey Vandenbosch.
Okay, Jeffrey, from the way that you worded that email, I can only assume that you live inside of an animated feature film. My family and you might actually be anthropomorphic animals who have bees as your neighbors.
Just
they're
won't
like
leave
the
us
cricket
alone.
family or something.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
or they're
okay.
just like some nice bunnies or something. And then they've got like these raucous bees who just won't abide by the rules, who like swoop into their picnic and just cause mischief. I feel like this is just
it's like the Hatfields and McCoys or something, but with animals.
Or like this is like if this, I think that they might be like a Judd Apatow produced animated feature where this guy might actually just be Seth Rogen trying out his role. My advice is really just like you're gonna have some picnics ruined. You're definitely gonna get in some like Hans Zimmer scored high energy chase sequences through your neighbors' yards and like maybe the inner workings of your walls. And like, you know, you're probably gonna end up in like a dark rainy scene where you are really bummed and then realize that maybe you're the bad guy in the story because they're just kind of doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
And then you're going to overcome your differences and you guys are going to have like the best picnics ever for the rest of your life. Like that's my assumption for how this
with like a lot of honey.
Yeah, I mean, I hope
like that jar of honey.
I hope that you like.
I
hope that you like honey. Yeah, I mean, maybe they're a family of bears.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, Jake, extending from your response to this, I think there's another way to read this question that just occurred to me, which is imagine this email. Ever since I was a larva, I've often heard that if you leave a human or other large primate alone, it will in turn leave you alone. However, no matter how often my swarm and I try to hold up our part of the bargain, the other side seems to ignore the rules. I try to live in harmony with my fleshy neighbors, but they seem to want to provoke me into an altercation. They set up picnics near my kids, they run through where we are buzzing, and they set up blankets and chairs in our kids' play areas. This, to me, seems a direct violation of the established code of conduct. How long do we allow this to go on? When would you fight back? Is a preemptive strike justified in this scenario? Thank you, a B. So,
I feel like that makes it all the stronger that this is just the perfect setup for a G-rated romp.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Where everyone
you
learns
can see
to get
both
along.
sides. I mean,
yeah.
It's definitely going to cut to that B family.
Well, you could get the poignant flashback.
It could open with the B family. Is this what a B movie is about? I never actually saw a B movie.
I don't know.
Maybe it is.
I have no idea.
It's probably not. But it could be.
This is the story.
It's probably about
Isn't
Seinfeld stuff,
Seinfeld,
but in the B
really
universe,
into
right?
B movie? Doesn't he really want to make a sequel to B movie?
What is B movie? Are you guys talking about the movie Bees?
Oh, shut up. Shut the fuck up.
I'm pretty sure that's the movie about a family who moves in next to a bee family. And neither of them get along when they're trying to have picnics.
This podcast, but the B movie trailer plays every time we gaslight someone about an insect-based movie. But seriously, I think Jerry Seinfeld is like seriously obsessed with B movie.
Yeah, he is.
And really wants to make another B movie.
Well, I think we got the perfect plot now.
Yeah.
I mean, this is...
We have a perfect B plot?
Fuck off. God damn it.
Christ.
I mean, in this movie, the A plot and the B plot are the same because it's two different families. And
it's really 1A and then 1B.
Yeah. Oh. Did you say it's 1A? Yeah. For one asshole? Like, what is the A?
I don't know what that's supposed to
mean,
be.
he means like the number, like...
Yeah, I know, but it's only
one
a pun if it works.
asshole and a B.
Not really a pun.
1B. Yeah, no.
Jerry, write us at questions@importantiftrue.com.
We will help you develop your B movie. You don't need to use the synonym of this guy. What's this guy's name?
Jeffrey Vandenbosch. Or did you mean the second email
That's a total Seinfeld name. Oh, those are both just written by Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Who's trying to get some no-name podcast to workshop his B movie so we can steal it.
We have a very high opinion of our podcast on this podcast.
I just called it a no-name B podcast. That's because we develop B movie storylines.
But you have this we have apparently this belief that multiple pitches for screen entertainment products are being filtered through our questions.
Chris,
email.
podcasts are big money now.
That's true.
There's that Zach Braff podcast.
Yes, there is actually a podcast that is now a network sitcom.
Yeah,
that's so weird.
Oh, weird.
That's a suspicious trailer.
Startup, and I think that there's a Reply All episode that's now optioned to be something. Oh yeah, Chris.
My chair keeps sinking down. If you're watching this on video, you may notice that I keep sinking down very slowly.
Yeah.
It's really annoying. I keep having to here I go. Bye.
It's okay, Chris. We've replaced Chris's stool with a novelty stool. That's our poop content for this week.
If I don't constantly adjust it, I just sink down into the fucking upside down. It's really irritating me.
Well,
sorry. I couldn't, Jesus Christ. I couldn't go without eventually acknowledging that this was happening.
It's okay. Do you want to endorse things?
Nick, there's an empty portrait frame behind you right now, which is new to the studio this week. Or it feels new. Jake,
it's new.
Put it there.
It's been just sort of on the floor.
Our studio this week.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's waiting for you to be sort of ominously sucked into it. It looks like it's waiting for a painting inside of it to be created by your essence being like trapped in there, you know, and then the movie ends.
Oh,
basically, sort of. I guess like
the movie would end, or would it begin that way, and then I would sort of be haunting that painting, like
maybe
Ghostbusters 2 or something.
Well, I don't know. The fact that it's just been empty, sitting there the whole time, makes it seem like you would sort of damn yourself, Jumanji style,
I see,
somehow, and get trapped in that painting, forever. And then you would be there, and then a new podcast crew would come in here the next week and be like, "Who's that lame guy and who's that idiot in the painting?"
So you're saying I would be damned to listen to podcasts inside of a painting without being able to talk on the podcast?
Right.
That sounds horrible.
In the studio where people are recording it.
Yeah. Maybe it was like your favorite podcast though, and it was okay.
I guess.
You eventually hate it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it would. There's no scenario where you enjoy anything when you're trapped in a painting.
You have the power to occasionally like toss in a bon mot that they all are like.
Well, there is precedent for this, Chris.
Oh, that's true, actually. Yeah, weirdly, there's a video on our Patreon page, I guess from months ago, of you recording a podcast with yourself, including a version of you in a painting that then makes a comment at the end.
Yeah.
Weird.
So I would be completely hoisted if that happened in reality. If that,
but there's also precedence.
But there is precedence. So,
yeah.
For 3 more of you coming in and recording it.
That's true. You're on there on the wall, and then other Nick Breckons come in.
Yeah.
It's truly your nightmare.
Yeah.
Being trapped in a podcast.
Those 3 guys being surprised by the painting would be
like, oh, there's a picture of us in here.
Like what?
What?
Why is there us? Not acknowledging the fact that the 3 of them are identical.
I can't take sitting in this chair any longer. I think we have to wrap up this podcast.
Yes.
So let's endorse.
Okay.
I am going to endorse the film The Big Sick, which is in theaters now, is written by Kumail Nanjiani and Emily V. Gordon and was directed by Michael Showalter. And it is a sort of fictionalized account of the meeting of the comedian Kumail Nanjiani and his wife, also comedian Emily V. Gordon. And it stars Kumail Nanjiani and Zoe Kazan. And it's just a really earnest and sweet, but also very funny romantic comedy about these people's actual
the pretty extreme circumstances under which
the very intense circumstances under which they started their relationship. And it also has Ray Romano just knocking it out of the park, which is just
it's a treat.
Good. It's just like, Ray Romano really pulls it out as a great role as
a good dad.
The father of this woman. He's really good. Yeah. And Holly Hunter as his wife, but I feel like Ray Romano has just stole every scene he was in.
Especially because you don't expect Ray Romano to drop an amazing performance like that. That kind. He did. It was good. That's a good movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was good. I enjoyed it, and I'm mentioning it in part because, it's a fairly small movie, and it's in limited release right now, and it
release seems to be widening like this week, I think.
Oh, is it? Okay, good. They've been really trying to get people to see it so that they could have sort of ammunition to encourage the studio to put it into a wider release.
It's also cool just to see a like really fresh take on a romantic comedy playing in a theater, and just to go see a movie of this genre in the theater. Like, I feel like there isn't
the genre. Yeah, that genre has sort of like been supplanted by like gross out romantic comedies.
Yeah, this one's
or just sort of general Apatow comedies.
Yeah,
that kind of have a romance like subplot.
I mean.
Well,
this is Apatow produced, but it plays everything very straight. But the sort of twist of it is that it's a true story with one of the actual humans who experienced it in real life playing himself in it and having written it. Like that allows it to be structurally more normal and not have to worry about an outrageous like high concept twist in the middle of it.
Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, it's a very straight it's really ahead refreshing movie, but it's just like sharp and funny and good.
It's just a good story well told.
Yep. So it's called The Big Sick, and it's in theaters. Jake, I guess.
Sure. I am going to endorse a thing that is useless if you don't use Twitter. So sorry about that. But it's kind of a plugin that you can authorize your Twitter account to. It's called Supermute. It's the way that it works. It basically, if you use Twitter a lot, which at least the 3 of us do, and I know a lot of people who listen to the show do, there are times when your Twitter feed will fill up with people who are talking about an event that you're not attending but relates to your job or to your hobby, or like a political thing that you just kind of don't want to listen to for 6 hours, or a sports game or whatever. And the way Supermute works is it's a plugin that you can feed a series of terms. And if anyone in your Twitter feed mentions one of those terms, Supermute will actually just mute them off your feed entirely for the duration that you give it. So if anyone says anything about like the Giants game, it operates under the assumption that you can live without hearing from them for 6 hours and that they're probably going to keep talking about it, but just in more sort of oblique ways. They don't use that word all the time. And I've found it very good as a person who uses Twitter too much. That basically, if I need to just cut my Twitter feed by 30% because everyone is talking about a thing that I just like am getting overwhelmed by.
Some live stream to something, and you're like, oh, yeah.
So it's at if you go to supermute.feeltrain, that's FEELTRAIN.com, you can authorize your Twitter account to it, and then anytime you go to that page, you can type in a term and a duration, and it mutes it. And then if you regret your decision, you can turn it off. But the general effect seems to be instead of getting louder, your Twitter feed will just sort of slowly get quieter during those times when everyone is just blasting about something. It's made by a guy named Darius Kazemi, who makes a bunch of really hilarious Twitter bots. I don't know. That website just has a lot of other good stuff on it.
Yeah.
But Supermute, I endorse heavily as a thing to make Twitter less annoying.
I used it to block Twin Peaks stuff for a couple hours when the first episode of the new season was coming out, and I wanted to make sure I didn't get spoiled.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah. Nick, what do you have?
This will be quick. So last week I endorsed a cooking show and sort of made an offhand comment about Mangchi, and people sort of tweeted at me very quickly and said, wait a minute, I don't think you've ever actually endorsed her. I didn't. I mentioned her on like a stream or something and didn't actually do that. So I'm going to endorse Mangchi, who is a Korean woman who lives in New York City. And she has a cooking show that actually she started that show, I think, maybe the first year of YouTube. Like, she's been around
2004
forever. Like, she's basically now just redoing old videos that she did then because the quality is so bad.
It's a disaster.
Yeah, but at this point, she has a pretty huge following. She has a cookbook, but she's a Korean lady who just makes... She started out, I think, basically making kind of like Korean, like sort of basic home cooking dishes, but now she's getting much more ambitious and doing... all sorts of just, everything. People with Korean food, it's like, Korean barbecue and maybe, like bibimbap, and then that's probably it. But she kind of is actually, has a lot of recipes that she's got coming through her straight from Korea that like you just have no idea exist. And it's all, she does like really nicely like edited and produced videos. And she's just like a cute lady. Like, she's just fun to watch. And it's like really, it's just very, very good. So Mangchi, MAANGCHI, and I think you can go to like her website or YouTube.
Cool. We'll link that.
Interested in
nice. We'll
Korean
link that in the
food.
description.
It's a very good show. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, you can find links to all that stuff in the episode page for this episode of Important If True. You can find our website with all of our information at importantiftrue.com, and you can send us questions at questions@importantiftrue.com. Especially your questions, conundrums, things you need answers to, advice about, that we can offer our perspective on. That is most appreciated. Sorry, I'm still sinking down.
No, I know. I can just see you slowly standing up to counteract the chair falling.
Yeah, it's really something. So yeah, you can send that email, send those questions, send those conundrums to questions@importantiftrue.com, and we will do our best to deal with them.
And you.
And to deal with you. If you like this show, consider telling a friend, consider rating us or reviewing us on iTunes. It helps us out. It means a lot. Sorry if this episode is coming out a little late this week. Everything got thrown out of whack because of the July 4th holiday. But here's a podcast for you, and now it's done. We will be I don't know why I said any of that. We will be back next week. Until then, stay spicy, everyone. Oh, for Adult Thumbs, I'm Chris Remo.
I'm Nick Brickin.
I'm Jake Rodkin.
Bye.
like my thumb drive joke?
No, I don't. I don't like it.
I was happy with that. What?
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't actually. I was ashamed.